In the last video, we drove down to Las Vegas in my BMW 128i to compete at Bimmer Challenge. We secured a spot in first place on day one, but there's still another day of competition left with some new competitors showing up today. Can we keep the top spot? Will the car make it home after another day of brutal Vegas heat? Keep watching to find out. I woke up pretty early in the morning to head to the track. Now, if you've been to Vegas, it's almost always busy, but at 6 a.m. it's pretty calm. So I took this opportunity to get a couple rad shots of my 128i in front of the Venetian. So with that out of the way, we headed off to the track. The goal this morning was to take advantage of the cool weather for session 1. Generally speaking, heat is the enemy, and that is especially true for tires. It's even more relevant considering I'm running a really grippy, autocross-oriented tire. So I set a low 204 in the afternoon yesterday. If I'm able to put a clean lap together and avoid traffic, the cooler weather should allow me to do a 203. When I arrive, I park next to John with his TT5 E36, who would be competing with me in B5. John is the creator of the 91 Octane podcast and has some really good content on YouTube, Instagram, and of course, his podcast. After this video, make sure you guys check out his awesome content he's putting out. So our first session's coming up, so let's get out on track and see if we can clock off a 203 lap time. All right, we're gonna try the same thing this morning and try to give some room so I don't have to deal with traffic and ruin this lap, because this morning is going to be the coolest session, right, at 60 degrees, so this will be the best potential for getting into 203s today. So holy shit, guys, I was not expecting to break into the 202s this morning. I was hoping for a 203, but as you saw there, we had a perfect lap. And by perfect, I mean we didn't have any obstructions with traffic, the temperatures were nice and cool, and the car just performed flawlessly. The car felt great, the tires were happy, and it just did so good. The car was angelic to drive. Like, just after, spending all of Saturday figuring out the course, getting tire pressure set, figuring out how the car likes certain things on these tires, it all just clicked this morning, and I was able to set down this lap, and the car just, like, you trail braked in, and the car would just rotate beautifully right, enough that you wouldn't have to counter steer. You would still be turning in a little bit, but the car would rotate through and kept a lot of momentum through the corner. And once you saw that exit, once the car rolled onto throttle, the grip came back to the rear, the car would just roll out of the corners and just felt so good. There were a couple spots where I was a little worried because I felt like I was really pushing the engine of this car, and I was worried I was going to do some damage to it, but as you can see here, we made it to the end of the lap. This 2:02 now puts us in first place for the day, and this is also the lap record for this class at this track. We had a good amount of time before our next session, so I went to go fill up the BMW, and I wanted to check out this really peculiar car that was in grid. It was this Mazda pickup truck.
So this is a one owner, 1988.
One owner.
B2200.
So you're the original owner.
I bought this to do cable television because my Chevy van cost me $500 a month in gas.
That's amazing.
And this was $500 a month for gas insurance and truck payment.
That's awesome.
So this vehicle was free.
Is it $500 a month in gas with a rotary though?
No. So we took this truck apart, and it was apart about 10 years, and we painted it and built motor. So it's a 1989 Turbo 2 from a JDM car.
Okay, awesome.
So the motor and transmission is 89 Turbo 2, and it's all Japanese domestic market, the gears and everything in it.
That is wicked.
And then the rear diff, since this is a live axle vehicle, so it's a first gen.
Gotcha.
So a first gen RX-7 diff with some modification will go in here, and that was my Achilles heel. That's why the truck is sitting here.
I smelt it today.
We're in
the same session. I smelt it.
Yes,
That's
sir.
awesome. That is so
there's
cool.
no 12-step program for me.
That's great.
My wife says I'm only allowed to have 7 RX-7s, so we have 7 RX-7s on a rotary truck.
That's amazing. That is awesome.
Down from 23.
Yeah, there you go. What was your YouTube channel again?
My YouTube channel is Crim Patty. YouTube user ChrimPatty.
Awesome. Well, thanks for taking the time to show
Indeed,
me. This
brother.
is awesome.
Indeed.
Awesome.
And there's another channel associated with that called Crim's Ant Pile.
Okay.
And Crim's Ant Pile is kind of more of the building of cars, where Crim Patty is the driving.
Okay, cool.
And you get to see even a little bit of my childhood on Crim's Ant Pile, because it's Ant Pile. It's everything about me.
Yeah, awesome. Awesome.
I appreciate Crim taking the time to show us his rotary pickup truck. That thing is rad. Now, right by him was his son's RX-7, and you look at it and you're like, that's a pretty cool FC3S. When you get closer to it though and you see the front end, you realize those edibles you took in the morning are just starting to kick in, because this thing has an S13 Sylvia front end on it. So rad. Before our next morning session started, I was talking to John from the 91 Octane podcast, and he mentioned he was having a hard time finding a good driving line on this track, as this was his first time at this course. Where I had all of yesterday to learn the track, and I figured our cars were relatively similar, I offered to do a lead follow run with him. Unfortunately, it didn't get to go as planned. So we got to grid a little late, but the grid gate guy was kind of working with us.
Make sure I give you a nice big gap though.
Please. Yeah, because when I grid by time, the high horsepower cars, I'm fighting them in the corners and just ruins my lap.
I'll try to get you about a good 15 seconds.
Thank you.
So he was going to try to give us a good gap so we didn't have to worry about traffic coming up. Unfortunately, even despite his efforts, we still had some issues, as you'll see here. So as we're doing our initial outlap, there was a TT2 or TT1 Corvette behind us. It was a C6 Corvette, had a massive wing, massive splitter, it was very loud. So right here I decided to let him pass real quick because I know he's going to be faster than us. After he passes, I get back on it. Now what I didn't realize is there was this base model C5 right behind us as well. It might be hard to see, but I only gave the C6 a point by. I didn't give the C5 a point by. I can kind of understand the confusion, but nonetheless, it's still frustrating. And unfortunately, this Corvette was kind of the stereotype, fast in the straight lines, but parked in the corners. You can see here, I'm just kind of not even trying, and I'm right on his bumper. Through the bus stop, he's hitting the brakes. As you guys saw, my car doesn't need to hit the brakes. I actually accelerate through there. He's braking way early here, so I just go ahead and pass. And I could tell the driver was pretty irritated. I passed him back again. He had an open face helmet. You could see the grimace on his face. And then right here, right after this corner, bus lengths behind. So I got past that, no problem. Now, unfortunately for John, he got stuck behind that Corvette, meaning he couldn't follow my line. And at this point, it was kind of a, do I just stay back and we just have this battle all day, or just chalk it up as a loss, right? So I just kind of went ahead, and this photo I'm about to put up on screen will perfectly show you what John had to deal with for the rest of the session. I didn't go any faster this session, but I did click a 203, so that makes me feel pretty confident that my time from earlier wasn't a fluke. After this session, we had a pretty large break until the next one. I was internally debating whether I should drive my last sessions or not. Part of me wanted to drive this track more and get all the seat time I could, but some other part of me was telling me not to. Next thing, I noticed my phone battery was dead, and I used that to monitor my temps, so that's kind of annoying. But then shortly after, the track got really quiet, and the next thing you know, a Corvette rolls in that hit the wall. Regardless if you believe in signs or not, I'm going to take this as one, and I'm going to just skip the last 2 sessions because I still have to drive back to Utah tomorrow. At the end of the day, I did secure the first place position in B5 and set the track record for the B5 class. I had an absolute blast at this track, and it was a really fun challenge to learn a new course. I do want to do more Bimmer challenge events in the future. I think they're super fun and the community's awesome. Honestly, I made so many new friends, and I hope to see some of you guys at another track day in the near future. The next morning, I loaded my BMW up and hit the road. I could bore you about the drive back to Utah, but 7 hours later, we were back in Logan without any issues the whole time. That concludes this journey from Utah to Vegas and back. The 128i had absolutely no issues at all. It drove down comfortably, gave good fuel economy, ripped at the track, and got me back home safely. This is just a testament to how good this car is, and I am beyond thrilled at how much of a trooper the N52 is. That is, until 3 weeks later at a NASA event.
Am I good to pop the hood real quick?
Yeah.
Nothing crazy here. What the hell?